Hello everybody, it's Corny here, and I am back for my long-awaited return. It feels so nice to have a fresher start right now, and I'm sure most of you who have seen my channel have known me for my Hyenine1 videos, or otherwise known as Hyenine1. I'm very sure most of you have been wanting an update on the situation, so I've taken it upon myself to make the biggest Hyenine1 video of mine, and possibly YouTube, considering this isn't a very strong topic outside of the Animal Jam community. I've been working on this for a very long time, and I know many of you have been waiting for an update on this. So here I am a year older, and I'm dropping the bombshell now. And because this is the bombshell, obviously I'm going to be talking about some very serious topics, which some may consider triggering and disturbing. So a warning for the following: pedophilia, child grooming, child manipulation, toxic relationships, bullying and harassment, gaslighting, small mentions of suicide and suicidal thoughts, small mentions of self-harm, eating disorders, and other harsh subjects of that source. I would like to ask of everyone that knows the victim to make sure not to out them publicly, as they still do not want to be outed about who they are. The victim's anonymity is important, and it should be respected. Any comments outing the victim in any way will be deleted. I would also like to ask that if you are under the age of 13 that you click away from this video and watch something else. My content is not for you, and if I see any interactions from the people that are below the age of 13, they will be blocked immediately for minor safety. Animal Jam is a children's game owned by WildWorks. There are two main Animal Jam games, Animal Jam and Animal Jam Classic. These games have features such as drawing programs, trading, buying things from the shop, and other players. You can play almost any animal online. You can also talk to others using the chat feature. Then there is Feral, which is also a game owned by WildWorks that is currently a work in progress, where you can be a mythical creature, trade, collect materials to craft items, and talk with others using the chat feature. One of the biggest differences is that Feral is a 13+ app and now has a voice chat. Hyenine1 is a popular artist on Animal Jam Classic, and Animal Jam Classic has the target age range of 7 to 13 years old. Hyenine1 is known to have made very controversial artworks, and has also made very questionable artwork. Hyenine1 has gotten off scot-free every single time he's been reported, and has had his activities continually ignored by WildWorks. Hyenine1 has been accused of pedophilic activities such as child grooming, manipulating a child, and being in a quote-unquote relationship with the child, and gaslit said child. He has also been accused of tracing artwork and bullying. All of this will be covered, if not proven, by screenshots in later sections of this video. I feel the need to explain this because some people can't comprehend that online child grooming and pedophilia is real. Pedophilia is described as a sexual feeling towards children. Child grooming is described as befriending and establishing an emotional connection with a child, as sometimes the family, to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse. As you just heard, child grooming is a type of manipulation to achieve an abusive goal. I will explain how Hyenine1 groomed a child shortly. The entire situation started around May of 2020. Hyenine1 met the victim. The victim had just gotten out of a toxic relationship and was about to turn 13 soon. Also sought comfort in Hyenine1. Hyenine1 eventually began to flirt with said victim while avoiding the Animal Jam Classic chat filters. Soon it was changing from flirting and compliments to sexualization, calling the victim things like hot, cute, and sexy, and so on. He would roleplay touching the victim and pressing himself in the victim in a sexual manner. A rumor got around to Hyenine1, making him aware that the victim had just turned 13 during that summer, and Hyenine1 had ignored it and proceeded on with these roleplays. Hyenine1 was completely aware they were a minor, and the victim had told him they were only 13 at the time. People had asked him if he and the victim were together, and he would respond by saying he with some emoji that would indicate love, like a heart. Eventually, things were moved on to Feral. where Hyenine1 would roleplay more erotically with the victim and their friend Azalea. Eventually, the victim realized what was going on was very wrong, and they decided to take pictures of what was going on. I will show these screenshots with the correct dates of this order. And also, keep in mind, some screenshots were taken because the victim thought they were silly, but then realized how gross and disturbing it was. This was a very strong, brave, and correct move for the victim to make, and I commend them for being so strong for all of this. So now we're getting into the screenshot proof that the victim has taken for their proof and evidence against Hyenine1. We will get into other screenshots that have been taken to prove Hyenine1's other nasty behaviors. With these screenshots, I will include dates and maybe even times for the chats. So this is your final warning. These screenshots are gross and sexual. Many people won't feel comfortable reading these, so viewer discretion is advised once more. These are just a few instances of Hyenine1's doings. There are many more times that things like this have happened, but these are all the screenshots and info that we have to prove his grooming at the moment. As it is hard to gain more since chat logs disappear once you leave the space in both Animal Jam and sometimes Feral. I feel I have to explain how this was grooming since many people don't believe it. Let's look back on how grooming is described: befriending and establishing an emotional connection with the child and sometimes the family to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse. Now let's look back at the situation. Hyenine1 became friends with the said victim and was trying to build a bond and was complimenting the victim. It is also good to note that this was just after the victim got out of a hard relationship, so it seems that Hyenine1 preyed upon this child. It eventually got to erotically role-playing with the minor, which would be the sexual abuse that leads up to it. Let's say Hyenine1 was joking about it and it was all jokes. Why was he making sexual jokes towards a minor when he's in his 30s? Let's also take into account that sexual jokes can be a sign of child grooming. Why is Hyenine1 joking about having a child with a 13-year-old? Why is he calling this kid cute? Why was he quote-unquote joking about licking a child's private areas? Why is he joking about having sex with a child? It isn't a joke. A man in his 30s should know better. Now, I've heard this argument, and let me tell you, it's so stupid. Erotic roleplay isn't sexting, and therefore it isn't sexual abuse. It sounds stupid and crazy, I know. But erotic roleplay over text is sexting. It is. There's no way around it. What is sexting? Well, sexting is when people send or receive sexual pictures, messages, or videos through technology. Example, cell phone, app, email, or webcam. The word sexting comes from a combination of the words sext and text. Sex and text. My bad for my stuttering. Erotic is another word for sexual. It was sexual over chats online, therefore, it was sexting. Sexting is often abused by pedophiles and groomers like Hyenine1. It's not that hard of a concept to grasp. So as you heard earlier, Hyenine1 claims it's all jokes, but we, as most people that have witnessed his behaviors and researched this topic, have a slight problem with what he's saying. There have been times where he admits to the conversations, but he claims it's all jokes. There have been times where he has said, oh, it's all Photoshop. Here are all the excuses I've heard from him so far. Everything was a joke. Everything was taken out of context. Everything was fake and edited. He didn't even do it. That wasn't him. The victim posted everything and faked it because he wouldn't give them a headdress. So now, here's as much proof as I could gather for the excuses. Different people ask it from him, and it's almost like a different story every time. This is just a huge sign that he was lying and about joking about it, or just lying about it in general.
So now we're getting into his artwork itself. So much of it is problematic in its own ways. So much of his art is straight up softcore porn and vor fetish art. He also has made depictions of other famous jammers like Jelly Jones, as in fetish art of her. Hyenine1 has made some anti-Semitic art, racist depiction, and other things such as that. Hyenine1 also has traced art. I will show what he has traced it with a comparison of his pieces. I will also showcase a screenshot of Hyenine1 admitting that he traces frames for his collabs. Keep the tracing situations in the back of your head for later. It might be important. Hyenine1 has also made art with guns on Animal Jam, which is against the rules. It is common sense that guns do not belong in a kid's game. This will also be important later. Once all the allegations of child grooming came out on an Instagram post on December 30th of 2020, Hyenine1 and Chocolate for Froggy were very upset with the victim for coming out. Chocolate for Froggy is one of Hyenine1's close friends, and she called the victim a drama queen and a troublemaker. Here is a comment from Chocolate for Froggy made before she deleted that Instagram account, and here you can see she actively defends Hyenine1 and claims that the victim manipulated Hyenine1 and edited the chats. This is obvious victim shaming and blaming because of her bias for Hyenine1. This comment is manipulative and cruel, but there's another thing about it that makes no sense. Let's look at this again. Here she claims that the victim manipulated him and edited the chat. Froggy, I have a question for you. If the victim manipulated him into saying things like this, then why would editing be needed? And also, this isn't slander at this point. It's speaking the truth. There is no actual evidence to disprove these screenshots. None of the stories from anybody are lining up except for the victims. Not even what AGHQ said lines up with any of this. There are too many stories and claims that go against these screenshots. So pick one and find some hard evidence to prove these screenshots false. No, I don't want you to ask Hyenine1 if it happened, because none of his stories line up correctly. Just like how yours in this comment doesn't either. Hyenine1 claims it's all jokes in many screenshots. So why do you feel the need to victim shame and say it's photoshopped? You're a predator. I can't, oh my god. A predator apologist, and there's no other way around it. It's made up nonsense, apparently. Then why is Hyenine1 admitting to having said those things in the first place? You two make no sense. And of course we have Hyenine1, who is also a bully. Here's screenshot proof of him calling someone a waste of space. What a nice guy, huh, Froggy? We have Hyenine1 being a manipulative liar and playing victim towards his victim in January of 2021. Why? Because the victim apologized for telling, which no victim should ever have to apologize for telling somebody about what their groomer or abuser did. So he took advantage of this to make the victim feel terrible for telling. Oh! And of course, here's Hyenine1 telling another person that their soul is ugly and calling someone a roach. Oh, what's this? Hyenine1 bullying someone's art? Oh, that's just a gentleman's move. So it is very clear that Hyenine1 has traced art a few times. But what has he traced it from? Well, it should be no surprise that Hyenine1 has traced artists from none other than for affinity. This proves he does have access to social media. He most likely has an account on for affinity. What else does he have access to or have an account on? Hyenine1 most likely has a YouTube channel, which is subscribed to two right-winged channels, And if you have not heard, Hyenine1 is somewhere on the right political spectrum. Politics aren't the issue. However, this helps match him up with this channel that I have found. The channels this account follows most likely reflect the views he has. The channel was made in 2008, which would help with the line up with the fact that he is a grown man. While yes, anyone could be posing as Hyenine1, but this channel was made before he even started playing Animal Jam or before Animal Jam even was made. And the account has left comments on fan art videos. One comment even suggested to the video creator to buddy request him on Animal Jam to hang out and included his username in the comment just in case they didn't know who he was. Well, his username. Hyenine1 has been on the Animal Jam art wiki and wiki fandom in general. I have proved this earlier, but I will prove it again. He has been banned because of his very creepy and disturbing activities and because of his artwork. Hyenine1 has also been on the wiki while playing Animal Jam. Hyenine1 still has access to Feral and Animal Jam. Future Corny here, he didn't actually include his username. I don't know why I wrote that in my script. I guess I forgot about the screenshot and didn't look at it recently. But that is a channel, and one of the screenshots is old. You can still look at Hyenine1 fan art videos and look in the comments, and there are a few videos that he did comment on a few years ago. The answer to this question is most likely yes. There have been plenty of times where Hyenine1 has threatened to get someone banned over a disagreement or argument, and the account was suspended. Although the masterpiece he makes are extremely inappropriate, they all seem to go through just fine every time, then allowing more and more copies to come out. Animal Jam has let Hyenine1 get away with bullying, tracing, and other things such as that, which are all against Animal Jam's terms of service. Hyenine1 also has seemed to have no problems getting accounts fixed if something is wrong and it happens fast. For those who do not know, that is pretty rare to happen, as sometimes it takes days for a single automated suggestion to respond. The Animal Jam support is very slow, especially to those who play Animal Jam Classic. Not only does Hyenine1 make inappropriate art pieces that bypass moderation, but his traced art also bypasses moderation somehow. I've mentioned this before when I spoke about his problematic art. Almost all of his art goes against Animal Jam's terms of service, but he got away with it. Constantly, despite numerous reports. He likely has some sort of privilege involving his artwork. Future Corny here, updates about this. Hyenine1 does have privilege as far as we're all aware. Multiple screenshots are hinting that he has privilege with somewhere with Animal Jam, somehow. There are screenshots of him admitting to getting people banned. I have talked to someone known as Ivory about this, and he is a witness for this information. Ivory is a former Jam ambassador known as Ellipsity. With big allegations coming out like this, the outcome is going to be rumors, and plenty of them. Some people created rumors with the purpose of clout and defense of Hyenine1. One person even tried to rumor that Hyenine1 has OCD to justify the erotic role plays. Here's the thing with that though. While yes, OCD can make you have intrusive, uncontrollable, and sometimes pedophilic thoughts, acting upon it is bad, and that is when it becomes a problem. Intrusive thoughts are awful, and I understand the struggle. Many people are disgusted by the thoughts when they happen. If you have pedophilic, intrusive thoughts, however, I do advise that you seek a therapist, and if you can, find a way to make those thoughts leave, even though it might take medication or serious changes. Rumors have spread that Hyenine1 and Chocolate for Froggy are dating in some way, or at least have some sort of extremely close and sentimental relationship. I have had people tell me that they have walked in on rather flirty remarks to each other. However, I did not receive any proof of that, so it is alleged. It would explain why Froggy refuses to believe the victim. There is also a rumor that Hyenine1 possibly works at a school, due to him saying in the past that there were cute girls at his school. However, we know that he is an adult. In fact, he is in his 30s, the last I checked. Hyenine1's victim is still in the process of healing, and it may take a long time. Healing from this kind of stuff isn't easy, and it's hard sometimes, but I'm very proud of them. honestly. They are doing their best to cope and heal, and it needs to be respected. Healing comes with time, sometimes privacy, and to feel safe. This might make Animal Jam players mad, but I feel the need to say this. Animal Jam does not and will not defend victims of grooming, even if it takes place on any of their games. They are money hungry and problematic. Animal Jam has a history of this. They treat many of their Jambassadors like cheap, inexpensive labor to represent the community and game. And now they are aiming at younger children to be Jambassadors to reel in a younger audience. They constantly blame the community for any mishaps and refuse to be held accountable. They won't release any proof to prove the allegations wrong or refute any evidence. They give a petty little claim that doesn't line up or prove anything. Wildworks should not be trusted nor financially supported. Animal Jam is a huge source of the problem. They are money-hungry enablers, and they do not care for victims. Animal Jam treats Jambassadors just slightly above the average player, like providing free memberships and free Animal Jam box subscriptions. Animal Jam players are stuck with the job of making the game seem open and a perfect utopia for audiences of all kinds. But what else comes with it? Being censored and controlled. Former Jambassador Ellipsity, who now goes by Ivory, explains all of his experiences as a Jambassador in his final Animal Jam video. It is not fun in games. It has restricted people who want to help victims of grooming from doing so. Now that you've seen all of that, I'm going to look over ways to spot grooming, so you can maybe try to save yourself or save someone else that is going through grooming right now. I'm going to repeat the explanation of child grooming. Child grooming is befriending and establishing an emotional connection with a child, and sometimes a family, to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse. Here are some behaviors that are often found in child groomers. Groomers usually seek their way to give said child in the situation extra attention. Groomers usually give things that the child finds of high value to them. Groomers usually try to convince the child that intimate touches are okay or normal, like really close hugs, kisses, and inappropriate touching. Groomers pretend and make the child think that they are their best friend. Groomers often make dirty jokes to or with the child or show them pornography. Child groomers also gain trust from the parents to gain more access to see the child or talk to the child more often. These are things off of protectyourminds.org. I recommend checking them out for more info like that. Another thing to keep in mind is that not all of these things are immediate ways to spot a groomer. However, I did see that Hyenine1 used a couple of these techniques for grooming online. For the making of this grooming, the child thinks that those touches were okay, that the erotic roleplay that he had the child do with him, the roleplays it did involve touching. He had the child believe that they were best friends. He also manipulated the minor afterward into thinking it was just a fallout of a couple of things between friends. He made art for the minor, and if I recall, I think he even gave items to the minor, symbolizing friendship. There are also things you can observe in children and find people that have been groomed for extreme side effects. Here are a list of things that can happen spawning from child grooming: eating disorders, post-traumatic stress, anxiety and depression, difficulty coping with stress, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, feelings of shame or guilt, relationship problems with friends and family. Remember, these things can also spawn from other experiences, but you have to be careful and aware, especially if you're a parent. For parents watching this, be careful and gain trust with your child. If you notice something is wrong or off, don't yell or drill your child with questions. Your child will tell who they feel safe with when they are ready. To victims of grooming who haven't told someone yet, I believe you. I know it's extremely scary to tell someone about these kinds of things. Sometimes it's harder if you're scared of the reaction. I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to have to tell someone about awful things that happened to me. Unfortunately, my mom didn't believe me when I shared what happened to me, but the feeling of relief I felt after telling somebody felt freeing to me. I encourage you to speak up no matter what. If someone doesn't believe you, but you know your word is true, keep speaking up. You are strong and your words are worthy. And to the people that have made false accusations of grooming and lied about being groomed, or to the people who are doing this currently, stop. Stop what you're doing. It is invalidating to people with real experiences. I am truly disgusted and hurt by the people that have the feeling that they need to make up something that didn't happen to them just for attention and spite. In my eyes, lying about something so serious makes me feel as if you want to feel what it's like to be groomed. Let me tell you, you don't want to know what it's like to be groomed. You're gross. Stop. To you I ask, why do you do this? Grooming isn't always obvious. Groomers don't exactly always get something out of child grooming. However, sadly, Hyenine1 got what he wanted. Erotic roleplay from a 13-year-old child and their innocence. We have to do our best to fight grooming inside and out of the Animal Jam community. Anyone can get groomed, and we can only educate everyone on how to spot it and how to stop it. But how do we stop grooming? The reality is, we can't stop it. Grooming happens often, and it's upsetting. The worst we can do is our best, and our best is to get the groomers arrested for the manipulation. The sexual manipulation and abusive behaviors that have to do with groom both kids and adults and serve justice. The very least we can do to Hyenine1 is ban him from Animal Jam and or Feral. To stop his predatory behavior in the places he is in the way most. If we're lucky, we can get our hands on some of the key information to get him arrested. Now, this is everybody's favorite part, and especially mine. My angry, furious rant. This entire situation was stressful to go over, but it's important to spread awareness of what grooming is, and it is very important with people with such popularity around children to get exposed. I would do anything to make the people feel safe in a game I once loved. I once loved playing Animal Jam every day since I was around 6 years old. It was my favorite game for years. I even looked up to Hyenine1. When I first heard the news, I felt so betrayed. I do not want to be affiliated with it. I do not want to be known as an Animal Jam YouTuber, and I do not want to be stuck here having to try and spread the message because people refuse to listen. It's all, believe the victim first until it's somebody you look up to. I do not care if you're hurt to find out what he's done. The support needs to stop. I want to let it be known that supporting Wildworks and supporting Hyenine1 here will no longer be tolerated. While I am accepting of opinions, full-blown supporters will not be tolerated nor accepted here. If you support any groomers or pedophiles refusing to believe that there is nothing problematic with them, you are not welcome here on this channel, and I advise you leave. I feel so awful for the people that have to hide the fact that they were groomed because of the supporters and Hyenine1's manipulation. Hyenine1, remove yourself from Animal Jam, remove yourself from children, remove yourself from Feral, seek help. You are a very perverted and gross-minded if you are pretending to do horrendous things to a minor. You are in your 30s and there is no reason for you to get turned on by an online animal. It is disgusting and you need help and jail time. Chocolate for Froggy, I know what it's like to want to defend a friend, even though you shouldn't. This is something you should realize. Hyenine1 is not worth your support or as a friend. You may trust him with your kids, but have you considered that maybe trust is an effective grooming? You need to realize who he truly is. Just because you knew him for a very long time doesn't mean you knew what was going on behind the scenes. There's still time to remove yourself from the situation, I swear. In summary, Hyenine1 is a pedophile and a groomer who groomed a child that had only turned 13 on the well-known game called Animal Jam Classic and the app Barrel. The sexual abuse he achieved was erotic roleplay, and he tried playing it all off as a joke, making more excuses later on. Hyenine1 has had friends defending him, as well as many others having to come out now about questioning if they had been groomed by Hyenine1 as well. Before we end this video, I would like to make some special mentions on some people you should support. Links will be in the description. These people deserve as much support as they can right now, and it'd be a great decision if you were to support them, even with just a follow. I would also like to thank everybody that has helped me with the script writing. You all know who you are. Thank you. It helps a lot. Also, of course, we have a very special thanks to the victim who came out about what Hyenine1 has done. And to the victim, you're very strong. I'm proud of you. I'm really sorry that this is another Hyenine1 video, but this stuff is important to me. It's important his victim gets the representation that they deserve, well, as far as they want. They don't deserve drama to start. I know that all of my commentaries have been pretty much the same so far, but I promise I will change this up soon. I won't comment on petty drama at all, maybe not even just yet, because situations like these are far more important. This may be my last video on Hyenine1. I won't make any more Hyenine1 videos unless something new else, like something else comes up about him. If I made a mistake in this video and I realize it, I won't be making another video to address it. I'll just be pointing out on some different platform, unless it is a huge mistake. Anyways, you guys all know what to do. Enjoy your herbal tea, and have a great rest of your day, morning, or evening.